I've done a handful of Fallout challenges, and I can't help to realize that New Vegas has yet to have a melee-based challenge, which is why in this video we will find out, can you beat Fallout New Vegas with only a shovel? Starting the run, I named myself Scooper, and for my appearance I gave myself luxurious hair with a thick mustache. For my special stats, I put 10 points into strength for melee, 10 points into endurance for hit point, since I'll need to be able to tank enough damage to hit them, 8 points to intelligence for skill points, and 9 points into luck for criticals because any extra damage can make a difference. For my attack skills, I went with melee, medicine, and repair, and for my traits, I went with skilled and wild wasteland because why not? I make sure to activate hardcore mode because in case you're new here, it's kind of my signature thing. I immediately meet up with Chad to sell my items and I was lucky enough for him to have a shovel on sale, so that saved me the time to have to go and venture out for one. In the saloon, I spoke with Sunny Smiles. When going out back, I grabbed some sodas for good early game heals. I tried using the shovel to knock down the bottles, but Sunny told me that wasn't good enough for her. And for that, her dog, and everyone in Good Springs must pay. Because everyone knows not to separate a man from his favorite shovel. Dealing with them was no problem, and once everyone was dealt with, I spoke with Joe Cobb about taking over what was left of Good Springs. He sent me to deal with Ringo, and to my surprise, he was the one to cause my first death of all people. But in my second attempt, I got him pressed against a corner, and he was very quickly dispatched of. Doc was the only one left at Good Springs, but he held up pretty well, taking down 2 before getting bombarded. Making my way to Mojave Outpost, I found an awesome hat in the fridge. Just cause I'm out of the wasteland doesn't mean I can't have drip. I dealt with a random gecko, leveling me up, and putting nearly all of my points into melee and a perk point into Swift Learner. I dealt with some rad scorpions that took way more damage than I expected, but once they were taken care of, I met with Major Knight to have my shovel repaired. While there, I decided to help with their quest for some easy XP. Dealing with the ants wasn't anything special, my shovel was more than enough for them, but once all the ants were removed from existence, I made my way towards Prim and took out some jackals on the way there. The convicts and Prim, like always, are nothing much to talk about. They're early game enemies after all. Once inside, it was going smoothly when facing them one-on-one, that is, till one of them summoned the Avengers and beat me to death with their tire irons. On my next attempt though, I made sure to have them come at me one at a time, making it infinitely easier to take them all out. Once the final convict was taken care of, I spoke with the deputy, freeing him, and talked about a new sheriff for Prim. I tried hiring the only one worthy of being the sheriff for Prim, but I didn't have the required science to reprogram him. So, with that in mind, I traveled to Nipton to complete Ghost's quest, and went on a massive killing spree against the ants to help me level up. There are plenty to do so as well, because at one point, trying to kill 2 ants, it was no longer 2 ants. But after taking out all the ants I could see, I turned in all the quests over at Mojave Outpost, very quickly leveling me up, allowing me to put the points I needed into science and the rest into melee, then a perk point into educated for even more skill points. Now that I had high enough science, I was finally able to give Prim the sheriff they always needed. Yeah! Making my way to Novak, I tried taking the long way to avoid mines and vipers waiting to ambush me, but to my surprise, I ended up walking to a minefield anyways. Not wanting to do that again, I went the intended route and I was shocked to only run into 1 viper going through. Arriving at Novak, I stock up on medical supplies and decided to do the quest for Novak, because I've always found myself skipping their quest in my other New Vegas challenges, so it's nice for a change of pace for once. Just outside the test site, I dealt with all the ghouls, which was easier than I expected. Once inside, I took the time to enjoy some high quality acid water. Dealing with the remaining ghouls inside the test site, I spoke with Jason, who told me the demons in the sub-basement needed to go. I could either 1, deal with the Nightkin, who have an insane amount of health and deal incredible damage to boot, or deal with the singular ghoul with a rifle. Jason never specified what the demon was, so... While trying to loot a first aid kit, I got jump scared by a surprise explosion. Killing the ghoul once more, I managed to tell the Nightkin leader and the others to leave just before one of them could cause me bodily harm. I told Jason the demons are gone and it is now safe to move to the sub-basement. I started grabbing some junk down there to hopefully sell for some extra caps. On my way to collect a part for the rocket, I passed through Novak and decided to do Boone's quest once I was done with the rocket. After I collected all the parts I needed for the rocket, which ended up costing 500 caps out of my pocket, we got the parts installed and sent them to the Great Beyond, though it's definitely not the Great Beyond they were expecting. Leveling up, I finally maxed out my melee skill and put a perk point into Leadbelly to, you guessed it, enjoy even more acid water. While at Novak, it was only a matter of time before you-know-who gave a visit. Unfortunately, I wasn't feeling like talking to him, so I let the shovel do all the talking instead. Getting ready to deal with Boone's quest, I spoke with Ginny and asked her to follow me to the dino. I don't know what happened, I think she must have tripped and died. I finished Boone's quest, then spoke with Manny, who told me where I can get another lead on Benny. Arriving at Boulder City, I ran into some rat scorpions and spoke with the NCR trooper at the gate, then spoke with Jessup, leveling up. I put an even amount of points into repair and medicine, then I took out Jessup and had the NCR take out the rest outside. I made my way to the gunrunners to sell all the weapons I collected from all the dead Great Khans, and made enough caps to afford high defensive armor. I got jumped by a couple of thugs while on Freeside, but they didn't know that my shovel always strikes fear to those within swinging range. I leveled up and put a perk point into Super Slam perk cause every melee build needs it. Since I'm always using the monorail to cheese my way into the strip, I decided to change things up and build up some caps so I can go through the front gate of the strip. I went to Camp McCarran to complete some bounties to build up some caps. I had to deal with plenty of fiends before I could reach my bounty. They most likely would have took me out, but the Super Slam perk activated very often. It allowed me to slow down damage they could dish out on me. Driver never stood a chance, especially in melee combat. Violet was a little harder, but that was due to her furry friends. Dealing with her one-on-one was a walk in the park, especially once I knocked her down. The final bounty was Cook Cook. I spanked Queenie right between the cheeks, and while Cook Cook was enraged and taking out the other fiends, I took out Cook Cook from behind and dealt with the remaining fiend. Things were going so smoothly, I had to check to see if I was still in very hard. Once I returned to McCarran, I turned in all of my bounties and made 1,300 caps. I traveled to the gunrunners and sold all the gear I collected from the fiends I took out, giving me more than enough to get inside New Vegas. I used the extra caps to restock on medical supplies. Once inside New Vegas, I traveled to the tops and they demanded I give up my shovel, and for that, they all must die. Everyone should know that you shouldn't separate a man from his shovel after what happened to Good Springs. Thanks to me buying plenty of medical supplies and having decent armor, I was able to withstand the damage dealt while thinning out their numbers. I took out Benny to retrieve the platinum chip during the chaos, and some of the gamblers started picking up weapons from dead chairmen. It didn't bother me none though, it's free XP if you ask me. But after finally clearing the casino, I spoke with Yes Man because it was here I decided to side with Yes Man this time. I took the time to resupply medical supplies once more, and rushed into Mr. House's chambers while getting riddled with bullet holes. I gave Mr. House the bonk of a lifetime and transferred Yes Man into Mr. House's terminal. I got a lesson on Yes Man's cousins, and on my way to Cottonwood Cove, I got jumped by a family of fire geckos and died. Twice, in fact. Finally, arriving at Cottonwood Cove and traveling to the fort, I spoke with Caesar, who wanted me to destroy whatever is in the bunker. There's nothing but Protectrons there, and they are beyond the easiest enemies in the game. The only ones I needed to worry about were the turrets. But once I finally installed the platinum chip into the terminal, I returned to Caesar to lie and tell him I destroyed the generators. After I gathered enough supplies, I went and gave their emeritus a visit, and just like the tops, they demanded I give up my shovel. And also just like the tops, I made them regret trying to separate me and my trusty shovel. Though their emeritus armor isn't any better than the tops, their weaponry definitely is. Being a little more careful, once I managed to wipe out all the emeritus, I gathered all the loot to sell them later for caps. I then decided to visit the White Gloves, and I guess news doesn't travel fast in New Vegas, because the moment they asked me to give up my shovel, their fate was already sealed. The White Gloves not only have terrible armor, but their weapon of choice are walking canes, and as a man who has mastered the ways of the walking cane while playing Fallout 4, they had already lost before the battle even began. I helped someone swan dive into the pool, and after wiping out the White Gloves, I took the time to get to know Gunderson and his hired gun.
You watch yourself around Mr. Gunderson.
I traveled to the Boomers to only get threatened by the big booms. Finally meeting Pearl, I decided it was time to put my murder spree to rest for now and help out the Boomers. I spoke with Rochelle about taking care of the ants, and then spoke with Royal about repairing that array. Making my way to the array, my repair skills were just a little short, so I decided to clear the ants inside the generator room first. It was difficult because after all, they are just early game enemies, but once they are taken care of, I spoke with Rochelle about a job well done, completing the quest, and leveling up. I put the points I needed into repair and the rest to speech, with the perk point into fast metabolism for bonus heals. Now that my repair skills were high enough, I repaired the arrays. I know I could have just traveled to Helios 1 to salvage parts for it, but honestly, I just wasn't feeling like doing that. When speaking to Pearl, she told me about the lady in the water, and once I brought her to the surface, I reported back to Pearl, fully dealing with the boomers. I then go out for more medical supplies once more, cause for what I'm about to do next, I'm gonna need all the healing I can get. I spoke to Veronica at the trading post, since she's an easy ticket inside the Brotherhood bunker, and once she opened the doors to the bunker, I dismissed her and immediately went to town on Ramos. If you guys don't know, the first level is always the worst. Most of them are wearing power armor with incredibly strong weapons. During all my fights, I'm just spamming my stim packs, praying I can out-heal the damage. Once I knock them down, I sit there, abusing them for what feels like an eternity. I'm not going to pretend this went well on first try. They definitely killed me a couple of times. If it wasn't getting blasted to oblivion by a Nash rifle, it's the turret shredding me instead. But, to my surprise, I did clear out the first level a lot easier than I expected to. By the time I reached the second level, I pretty much drained myself of all healing supplies, and due to that, it did make clearing the second level all the more difficult, resulting in my death a handful of times. After finally taking out the head scribe, the elder, and head paladin, I then used their cards to activate the self-destruct system, and the Brotherhood was finally wiped out. With that taken care of, I restocked in healing due to me burning through literally all of it, and after selling all the gear I collected from the Brotherhood soldiers, I bought the subdermal implant for a little more damage resistance. Now, the next thing to do on my list is to cause even more chaos at Red Canyon. I entered the longhouse and immediately dished out pain till I get swarmed and turned into Swiss cheese in seconds. Next attempt, I did my best to knock down as many Great Khans as possible to slow down the damage being dealt, and it seemed to work like a charm. I reported to Yes Man to inform about all the factions, traveled to Mojave Outpost to repair my weapons and armor, and had yet another supply run before heading to Hoover Dam to help protect President Kimball. I spoke with Ranger Grant, who told me to sweep the area before his arrival. While sweeping, I had a romantic moment with one of the heavy troopers. During the president's speech, I bullied the Legion sniper, reported all of my findings, and the president got away safely. After, I traveled to El Dorado to give power to the substation, and on my way back, I was ambushed by Legion assassins, and I was certain these guys were going to take me out, but thanks to the help of the nearby NCR, they kept some of them distracted long enough for me to get behind many of them and take them out before they could focus their attention onto me. After reporting back to Yes Man, it was time for the final battle of Hoover Dam. I rushed past heavy NCR troopers to talk with Yes Man, fought through a couple of sentries further down the dam, and finally making it into the Legate camp. I had to dispose of all the Praetorian guards, which is easier said than done when they have explosive punches, literally in fact. But after taking out the final guard, it was time to confront the Legate. I convinced him into a 1v1, and once the battle started, I immediately get bullied like the players in Marvel Rivals facing a Winter Soldier.
Armed and dangerous! Again! Again! Again!
Eventually, I get him bent over a fireplace, spanking him over and over again like the bad boy he was, then managed to shove his head into a rock for further humiliation. After finally defeating the Legate, I spoke with General Oliver and had Yes Man throw him over the dam, completed the game with only using a shovel. That'll do it for this challenge video. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you guys have any ideas for a challenge in the future, leave them in the comments. I try to upload every week or every other week, and I hope to see you all in the next video.